The wind cut across the street like a blade. Cold, sharp, silent dot. It was just past midnight, and the city was sleeping. The lights on the broken signs flickered. The buildings stood tall but tired like old men holding their breath. Somewhere, far away, a siren cried, then faded. The roads were empty, except for one person. Rin, a young nurse in her dull blue uniform, stood alone at the bus stop. Her coat was too thin. Her gloves had holes. Her breath made little clouds in the freezing air. She hugged herself and shifted from foot to foot, trying to stay warm. Her eyes were heavy, her legs sore from the long shift at the hospital. Another night. Another lonely wait. The buses were never on time anymore. Ever since the war, the alien war, the whole city had changed. There were fewer cars, less light, more silence. People still feared the sky, even though the invaders were gone. Rin didn't like remembering those days. The fire in the sky, the machines, the noise, the fear. But she had work to do. She saved who she could. Stitched wounds, gave medicine, held hands until the end, then she went home. And now, months later, she was still doing it. Just with less hope. Her fingers were starting to go numb when she saw it, a black car. Not just any car. A hover car. Smooth, clean, expensive. It didn't belong in this part of the city. People like Rin didn't ride in cars like that. They barely saw them. The car floated slowly down the road, silent as a ghost. Then it stopped right in front of her. Rin stepped back, unsure. The window rolled down. Inside was a man. Tall, pale, sharp suit, sharp eyes, dark hair. He looked like someone from a screen or a magazine. Too perfect. Too strange. He opened the door and looked at her. His voice was calm, almost quiet. "You're coming with me," Rin blinked. "Excuse me? It's cold," he said simply. "Get in." She looked around. There was no one else. No other car, no bus. Just the sound of the wind. "I don't know you," Rin said carefully. "No, but I know you." He didn't smile. "Rin, nurse, Starlight District Hospital. You were there during the final wave. You helped save over 40 lives in 3 days." Her heart skipped. "How do you get in the car?" he said again, not angry, not soft. Just sure. Rin hesitated. Everything in her training said not to trust a stranger. But something in her heart whispered, "He's not a stranger." She got in. The door closed. Warmth wrapped around her like a blanket. The seats were soft. The lights inside the car were low and golden, like candlelight. He pressed a button. The car rose slightly and turned. The streets outside moved past like a memory. Rin looked at him. "Who are you?" "Dane. Why did you pick me up?" He didn't answer right away. His eyes stayed on the road, though the car drove itself. "Because I remember what you did, and I think you need help." "Real help. I didn't ask for help. Most people don't." Rin looked out the window. The city passed by in silence. Empty parks, closed stores, burned rooftops. "You were there," he said quietly. "Weren't you? During the last attack?" She nodded. "Yes, so was I." She turned to him. "You don't look like a soldier." "I wasn't," he said. "Not at first." The car began to climb higher. They were going above the city now. Over the broken towers. Above the clouds. Lights twinkled below like stars that had fallen to earth. "Where are we going?" she asked. "My home. You'll be safe there," Rin frowned. "I don't need safety. I need answers." Dane finally looked at her fully. His eyes were calm, but something deep inside them looked tired. "You'll get them, I promise." The car landed on a wide, round balcony at the top of a tall building. The doors opened with a soft click. Dane stepped out first, then offered her his hand. She didn't take it. He nodded slightly and walked inside. Rin followed. The home was large, but not cold. There were bookshelves, paintings, A fireplace. Wooden floors. A kitchen that smelled like tea and fresh bread. It wasn't what she expected from a rich man in a silent tower. He handed her a blanket and pointed to the couch. "You can rest. Or eat, or leave. I won't stop you." Rin sat down slowly. Her body relaxed for the first time in days. Dane stood by the window, watching the city. "You said you know me," she said. "But I don't know you." "You will," he replied. There was something in his voice. Not pride, not mystery, just truth. That night, while Rin drifted into sleep, she heard Dane speaking in another room. Not loud, not clear. Just soft words. He said names, numbers, places. "The gate, it's waking up." She opened her eyes. "The gate? What gate?" She sat up quietly and looked toward the hallway where his voice was coming from. Something wasn't right, but something was calling her. And deep inside, Rin felt it again, the whisper, "You know him." Rin woke up slowly. Soft light touched her face. Warmth wrapped around her like a blanket. She blinked and looked around. It took her a few seconds to remember where she was. The couch. The fire. The quiet apartment in the sky, not the cold bus. Stop. Not the hospital. She sat up and looked around the room. Everything was still. Peaceful. The kind of quiet that didn't feel empty, but safe. She stood and walked to the window. The city looked different from up here. Clean, bright, beautiful. Even. The sky was pale blue with soft clouds drifting like lazy ships. She watched for a long moment, letting her thoughts settle. Then she remembered. The voice. The words in the night. "The gate is waking up." She turned away from the window. Where was Dane? She walked down a short hallway, past a large bookshelf and a room with plants growing under soft lights. Then she found the kitchen. It smelled like bread again and tea. A pot was boiling gently. Dane stood at the counter, slicing fruit with quiet focus. "Good morning," he said, without turning around. Rine paused. "You knew I was awake? You breathe louder when you're thinking." He glanced back with a small smile. "Hungry?" She nodded slowly. "A little." He placed a plate in front of her. Sliced apples, toast, warm bread. Honey, simple food, but it felt like a gift. She sat down. "You didn't have to do all this." "I know. Why did you?" Dane leaned against the counter, his arms crossed. His face was calm, but his eyes were watching her closely. "Because you've done enough for others. It's time someone looked after you." Rin didn't know what to say. She took a bite of toast and let the silence sit between them for a while. After a few minutes, she looked up. "I heard you talking last night," she said. "You said something about a gate." His expression didn't change, but she saw something shift in his eyes. "You weren't supposed to hear that," he said softly. "But I did." He sighed and walked to the window. "It's not easy to explain." "Try." Dane looked out at the city. "You remember the alien war. Everyone does. The ships, the sky burning. The machines walking through our cities." Rin nodded. "I remember the screams. The wounded, the ones we couldn't save." "I was part of a team," Dane continued. "Not soldiers, not leaders, just thinkers, problem solvers. We weren't on the front lines. We worked behind the scenes. In the dark, trying to understand their technology." "You were a scientist?" she asked. "Something like that." He paused. "We discovered the gate by accident. Buried deep under the earth. An alien structure. A bridge to somewhere else." "Another planet?" "No," he said. "Another dimension. Another version of reality." Rin's heart beat faster. "What does that have to do with me?" Dane turned to her. His eyes were steady. "You were there too, Rin. You were part of it." She shook her head. "No, I was in the hospital. I was helping people. You were doing that too. But before that, before your memories were changed, you were part of a group called Ember, a special group of codebreakers, medics, translators. You helped us communicate with the alien tech. Without you, we would have lost everything. Rin stared at him. That's not possible. I would remember something like that. He walked to a nearby table and pulled out a small silver cube. It glowed faintly in his hand. He placed it in front of her. Touch it. She hesitated, then placed her fingers on the cube. It pulsed. And for a brief moment, something flickered in her mind. A room made of glass. A symbol glowing on a screen. A voice not human speaking softly, and her own voice replying. In another language. Rin pulled her hand back quickly. What was that? She whispered. A memory, Dane said. One of many. Your mind was blocked after the war. For your safety. For everyone's. Why? Because you saw something. Something. Dangerous. Something no one else could understand. You were the only one who could speak to the gate. Rin stood up. Why are you telling me this now? Because it's waking up again. Last night, one of our sensors picked up a signal deep below the city. The gate is trying to open. And you need me. I need your help, yes. But more than that, I want you to remember who you are. Rin took a step back. This is too much. I know, I'm just a nurse. No, Dane said gently. You're more than that. She looked at the cube again. It still glowed softly like a heartbeat. If I help you, she said slowly, what happens next? We find the gate, we stop it from opening again. Or we understand what's coming through. Either way, we face it together. Rin was quiet for a long time. Then she nodded once. All right, she said. Show me everything. Dane gave her a small, honest smile. You're braver than you know. I'm just tired of being afraid. They stood together in the quiet room, the morning light warming their faces. Outside, the city moved on, unaware of what was rising beneath. But Rin knew now something was coming, and this time she wouldn't run. The cube sat quietly on the table. Its soft light no longer pulsed, but Rin kept glancing at it, as if it might speak to her again. She didn't know whether to feel afraid or amazed. A memory, one that shouldn't exist, had returned. A voice. In another language, a strange room. A feeling she couldn't explain. Something inside her had woken up. Dane watched her from across the room, giving her space. He didn't rush her. He didn't speak. He simply waited, like someone who had waited a long time already. Finally, Rin looked up. You said I was part of a team, she said. Dane nodded. Team member. And you said I helped communicate with alien tech. You didn't just help, he replied. You cracked the first signal we ever received. The aliens never spoke in words. They spoke in patterns, sound, light, motion. You were the first human who could follow it. That doesn't make sense, Rin whispered. I've never studied alien languages. I'm not a code expert. I've always been a nurse. You've always been kind, Dane said gently. That's why they trusted you. They? Dane stood and walked toward the far wall. He pressed a panel, and it slid open with a soft click, revealing a hidden door. Behind it was a narrow hallway, dimly lit with white lights. Rin followed him carefully. At the end of the hallway, Dane stopped at another panel. This time, he placed his hand on it. A soft beep echoed, and the door opened into a cold metal room. The walls were covered with screens, maps, and blinking lights. In the center was a large table with a glowing display. A slow move-in image showed the Earth from above, lines of energy spreading beneath its surface like glowing veins. What is this place? Rin asked. My real work, Dane replied. Everything I've hidden from the world, including you. She stepped closer to the table. Her eyes were drawn to one specific point on the map, a deep red light blinking under the city. That's the gate? He nodded, or what's left of it. We thought it was shut down forever, but now it's stirring. Rin looked around the room. On the far side, She saw a wall filled with photographs, ID cards, and notes. One caught her eye, a group photo of several people in lab coats. In the center, standing straight and proud, was herself. She walked closer. Her hand shook as she touched the glass. "That's me." "You led the medical wing of the Ember team," Dane said quietly. "But you were more than a nurse. You were part of every major breakthrough we had." Rin's mind struggled to catch up. Why don't I remember any of this? Because after the final wave, the government ordered a memory lock. All classified minds were wiped. They believed the tech was too dangerous, too unpredictable, even for us. "But you kept your memories." "I found a way to block the wipe," he said. "It wasn't easy. It cost me everything. My team, my company, my peace." Rin turned back to him. "And now you want me to break the rules? To unlock the past?" "No," he said. "I want you to make a choice." He walked to a metal cabinet and unlocked it with a code. Inside were several small data cards. He picked one and handed it to her. "This file is yours. Your full Ember log memories, notes, recordings. But if you open it, there's no going back. The more you remember, the more danger you'll face." Rin looked at the data card in her hand. It was small and cold, but it felt heavy. "What kind of danger?" "Not all the tech we found belonged to the aliens," Dane said slowly. "Some of it responded to human thoughts, memory, emotion. If the gate fully wakes up, it may try to reach you. It may already be trying." Rin felt her heart pound. "Reach me how? Through your mind. Through dreams, through anything it can." She closed her hand around the card. "Why me?" "Because you're the only one who ever made it listen." The room fell silent again. After a long pause, Rin finally nodded. "Show me how to open it." Dane walked her to the console. He inserted the card and typed in a short command. A small light blinked on the screen. "Just place your hand here," he said. Rin hesitated. Then she reached out and touched the screen. A wave of light passed through the room, and suddenly, her mind was full, images, sounds, memories like sparks. In the dark, she saw herself in a white lab, speaking to a glowing pillar. She remembered writing strange symbols on glass walls. She saw a young boy covered in golden light smiling, then vanishing. She remembered pain, fire, a gate that screamed. And she remembered Dane, younger, holding her hand in the dark. "I told you we'd come back," his voice echoed from the past. Together. The light faded. Rin pulled her hand back, gasping. Her eyes were wet with tears. "I remember," she whispered. Dane looked at her with quiet relief. "Then we still have a chance." Rin turned to the map again. The red light was pulsing faster now. Not waiting. Not hiding. "It's calling to something," she said. "Or someone." "Yes," Dane said. "And we need to find out what." Rin stood straight. The fear in her chest was still there, but now it had a name. And she had a reason to face it. She was no longer just a nurse waiting in the cold dot. She was part of something bigger. And the gate was waiting. The red light on the map pulsed faster now. It was steady, like a heartbeat, a signal from deep underground. Rin stood beside the glowing table, her eyes fixed on the screen. The air in the room felt heavier than before, like the space around them knew something had changed. Dane turned a few dials on the side panel, and the map zoomed in. It focused on an area beneath the city, below an old train station that hadn't worked in years. "That's where the gate is buried," he said. Rin looked closer. "I remember that place. I passed it every day on my way to work. It was hidden in plain sight," Dane said. "And now it's waking up." A soft beep broke the silence. Dane quickly pressed a few buttons. One of the side screens lit up, showing strange symbols moving across the display. They didn't look like any human language, more like flowing lines of light. "What is that?" Rin asked. A transmission, Dane replied. Coming directly from the gate. She stepped closer. It looks familiar. It should, he said, turning toward her. You're the only one who's ever translated it. Rin stared at the symbols. They flickered and moved as if they were alive. Her heart beat faster. Words began to form in her mind, not English, not spoken, but understood all the same. Return. Voice, complete. I can read it, she whispered. It's calling for something. Or someone, Dane said. You. Rin looked at him, alarmed. Why me again? You didn't just speak to the gate before, he said slowly. You formed a connection with it. It saw you as a key. A key to what? We don't know yet. Rin rubbed her forehead. Her memories were still cloudy. Bits and pieces came back, images of the glowing room, the gate's hum, and her own voice speaking words she didn't recognize. It feels like the gate remembers me, she said softly. Dane nodded. Then it may try to reach you again, directly. Rin looked at the cube still sitting on the nearby table. It already has. Dane walked to a control box on the wall and pulled out 2 earpieces and a slim silver bracelet. Put this on, he said. It'll help track your vitals and keep the signal from overwhelming your mind. She slipped the bracelet onto her wrist and placed the earpiece in. Almost immediately, she could hear the soft hum from the transmission, quiet, but steady. Like a song in the distance. We'll go to the gate tonight, Dane said. While the city's quiet, Rin looked up. Isn't that dangerous? Yes, but if we wait too long, the gate might fully open on its own. What happens if it does? Dane was silent for a moment. Then he said, we don't know what's on the other side anymore. Too much time has passed. Rin didn't ask further. She just nodded. That night, the city streets were quiet. Most buildings were dark. The war had left many homes empty, and people no longer trusted the night. Rin and Dane moved through the shadows, staying off the main roads. Dane drove a smaller, older vehicle, now something that wouldn't draw attention. The roads near the old train station were cracked and overgrown with weeds. They parked behind a rusted gate and made their way to a locked door near a collapsed stairwell. This used to be an entrance for workers, Dane explained, pulling out a small device. He held it to the lock, and after a short buzz, the door clicked open. Inside, the air was cold and still. Their footsteps echoed softly as they moved through the abandoned station. Broken glass crunched under their boots. Dust floated in the flashlight beams, but something was different. There was a soft hum in the air. Rin could feel it in her chest. The same energy from her memories, the gate's pulse. They reached a wide steel door covered in symbols. Some glowed faintly in the dark. This is it, Dane said. Behind here is the chamber where the gate sleeps. He handed her a small tool shaped like a pen. Touch the symbol that matches this. Rin looked at the glowing tip of the pen, then scanned the symbols on the door. Her hand moved almost without thinking. She tapped one symbol, a spiral wrapped in 3 lines. A soft tone rang out. The steel door shuddered, then slowly opened with a low, rumbling sound. The chamber beyond was deep and circular. Its walls were made of black stone that shimmered like glass. And in the center stood the gate. It was tall, twice the height of a person, and shaped like a ring floating above the ground. Its edges pulsed with soft blue light. The space inside the ring shimmered like water, though nothing touched it. Rin stepped closer. The hum grew louder in her ears, but it wasn't painful. It was familiar. She could hear the words again. Return. Voice, complete. Light. Dane stayed behind her, watching her carefully. It's responding to you. Rin placed her hand gently on the base of the gate. The lights pulsed. The symbols along the edges lit up, one by one. Suddenly, the shimmer in the center of the ring changed. A shape appeared, a figure of light, not fully human, not fully machine. It had no face, but Rin felt its gaze. She didn't move. The voice echoed again, not through sound, but through her mind. You were the last to speak. The bridge is not finished. Help us finish it. Rin's breath caught. Dane, it's alive. He stepped forward carefully. Can you ask it what it means? Rin closed her eyes. She didn't know how she did it, but she formed the words in her thoughts. What is the bridge? The light figure flickered. The path home. We are lost. We left something behind. You carry the memory. Rin opened her eyes. It says I carry the memory. Dane looked confused. What does that mean? I don't know yet, she said. But I think the gate needs me to remember more. Maybe all of it. Suddenly, the gate pulsed brightly, and the light figure disappeared. The hum faded. Silence returned. Rin stepped back, her heart racing. Dane caught her arm. Are you all right? Yes, she whispered. But we're running out of time. Rin woke up with a soft gasp. Her body was safe. She was back in Dane's underground base. But her dreams were not quiet. She had seen fire, glowing doors, and people calling her name in languages she didn't know. And above it all, a whisper that repeated one word: memory. She sat up on the bed. The bracelet on her wrist blinked gently, showing she was stable. The cube beside her pulsed once, as if it had watched her sleep. She stepped into the hallway and walked quietly toward the map room. Dane was already there, standing in front of the glowing table. You felt it too? He asked without turning. Rin nodded. It's getting stronger. Dane turned around, his eyes tired but focused. After what happened at the gate, the energy signature spiked. The system picked up another location. He tapped the table. A new blue dot blinked just a few miles away from their current spot. This wasn't here before, he said. What is it? Rin asked, a second sight. It might be one of the old Ember Labs one we sealed off years ago. Rin leaned closer to the screen. Something about the shape of the building stirred something in her memory. I've been there, she whispered. I remember a door with a handprint scanner and a wall full of symbols. Dane looked at her sharply. That confirms it. You're remembering faster now. Rin nodded slowly. Maybe the gate opened something in me. Dane picked up his pack and handed her a coat. Then we need to go before the signal fades. They moved through the city's empty backroads once again. The sky was gray, and a soft wind blew leaves across the cracked pavement. People no longer looked out their windows. They stayed inside, afraid of what they didn't understand. After an hour, they reached an old warehouse near the edge of a forest. It looked abandoned, windows broken, metal roof rusted, vines climbing up the walls. This used to be a shipping center, Dane said. But underneath, there's a lab. It was one of Ember's backup sites. Rin stared at the building. Her heartbeat quickened. I remember being in there, she said. I left something behind, something important. They stepped through the broken doorway. Inside, the ground was covered in dust and old equipment. But Rin walked straight ahead, guided by something deeper than memory. She stopped in front of a large metal panel on the floor. It's here, she said. The entrance. Dane cleared the debris, and together they opened the hatch. A metal staircase led into the dark. They climbed down slowly, their flashlights cutting through the shadows. The air was cold and dry, but not dead. It felt like the walls themselves were listening. At the bottom was a hallway, long, silent, but not empty. The lights above flickered on as they walked forward. One by one. Power still works, Dane said, surprised. After all these years. They passed rooms with glass walls, broken monitors, and old lab coats still hanging on hooks. Dust floated in the light. Finally, they reached a locked door with a symbol Rin recognized, the same spiral she had touched at the gate. She stepped forward and placed her hand on the scanner, a soft beep. Then the door clicked open. Inside was a small circular room. In the center stood a raised platform, and on the wall was a metal panel with several slots, each marked with a symbol. But what caught Rin's attention was the chair. It looked simple, but it had wires and a glass headrest. She walked toward it slowly. "This was a memory chair," she said. "We used it to store information and to unlock hidden thoughts." Dane checked the wall panel. 3 memory cores are still active. If your mind stored data here, we can retrieve it. Rin sat in the chair, her hands gripping the sides tightly. "Are you sure?" Dane asked. "I need to know what I forgot," she said. "If the gate is reaching for me, I need to understand why." Dane flipped a few switches. The chair lit up, and a soft hum filled the room. "Close your eyes," he said, "and don't fight it." Rin did as he said. At first, she felt nothing. Then a rush of light. She saw herself, years younger, standing in front of the same gate. It was open, the center filled with swirling colors. Around her stood her teen scientists, engineers, and Dane. A voice echoed in the room, her own voice. "This is not just a machine. It's a bridge to another mind. It listens. It learns, and now it waits." Another flash. She saw herself placing her hand on a glowing panel. A wave of energy passed through her. Her eyes glowed for a moment. She smiled. "It understands me." Another flash. Darkness. Fire. A warning. "It's too much too fast. We need to shut it down." Screams. The gate roaring like a storm. And her own voice whispering, "I'll lock the memory. I'll carry it so others won't." And then silence. Rin gasped and opened her eyes. Dane was there, holding her hand. "Rin," he said gently, "what did you see?" She looked at him with wide eyes. "I didn't just speak to the gate," she said. "I made a deal with it." Dane froze. "What kind of deal?" Rin stood slowly. Her hands trembled. "I told it I would carry its message, that I would protect the bridge, but something went wrong. The energy overloaded. I locked away the memory to stop the connection." "And now?" Dane asked. "The connection is returning," she said. "The gate wants to finish what we started." The chair's lights dimmed behind Rin as she stood in the center of the forgotten lab. Her breathing was slow, but her mind raced. The memories were now clear. She had been the one to connect with the gate. And not only that, she had promised something, a message. A link. Dane stood quietly near the panel. His eyes were fixed on her. "So it chose you," he said softly. Rin nodded. "Yes, but I also chose it." "Why would you do that?" She looked down at her hands. "Back then, I didn't fully understand. The gate felt alive. Curious, it didn't want to hurt anyone, it only wanted to speak. But when the power surged, we panicked. Everything went wrong." Dane walked slowly to her side. "You locked the memory to protect it?" "To protect everyone," she replied. "I knew they'd try to destroy the gate if they thought it was dangerous. I volunteered to forget. And now it's waking up," Dane said. "It wants the message you promised to carry." Rin turned to the console on the wall. "We need to go back to the gate. Are you sure?" he asked. "I don't think we have a choice anymore." The city was colder than before. A strange wind blew from the south, and the sky was heavy with dark clouds. The cube pulsed softly in Rin's bag, reacting to the energy around them. Back in the underground base, the map showed strange patterns. Blue lights danced in lines that moved across the city, like rivers of power beneath the ground. Dane tapped the screen. "The gate is changing. It's drawing energy from deep underground systems. Some of them haven't been touched in decades. It's preparing to open fully," Rin said. Dane nodded. "If it does, and we're not ready." "We'll be ready," Rin said firmly. They gathered supplies, small scanners, signal blockers, and emergency kits. Rin picked up the cube, which now hummed with a soft song. "It's guiding us," she said. "It knows the way." As they stepped out into the cold, The cube glowed brighter. The journey back to the gate chamber was quiet, but tense. Rin felt a growing pressure in the air, like something old was watching them from below. The closer they got, the stronger it felt. When they finally reached the ancient room, the gate was awake. It floated above the floor, spinning slowly. The lights around its edges flickered like stars. Symbols glowed on the walls. The air buzzed with strange energy, soft but powerful. Dane stepped carefully beside her. "It's listening again," Rin nodded. "And this time I'll answer." She stepped forward. The cube in her hands vibrated, then floated from her palms. It drifted toward the gate and stopped in the center. A beam of light connected the cube to the gate. And then the voice returned. "You have come again." It wasn't heard with ears, but inside their minds. A calm voice, old and deep. Rin closed her eyes and replied with her thoughts. "I remember now. I promised to carry your message. You did. And now the bridge must be completed." "What is the bridge?" she asked. "It is the path between two minds, ours and yours. Long ago, we sent pieces of ourselves through the stars. Some reached worlds, others were lost. This gate is one of many, but this one heard a voice, yours." Rin felt a wave of warmth. The gate was not just a machine. It was part of something far beyond Earth, something intelligent, but distant. What happens when the bridge is complete? Understanding. Sharing. Peace. She opened her eyes. The light from the gate grew brighter. Symbols floated in the air. Dane looked at her carefully. "Is it safe?" "I think so," she said. "But I have to finish the connection. It has to pass through me." Dane frowned. "That could hurt you." "It might," Rin said quietly. "But I started this. I need to finish it." She stepped forward and placed her hand on the base of the gate. Light flowed around her arm. Her body lifted slightly from the ground. Her eyes glowed with blue light. Inside her mind, images appeared of stars, cities made of light, and beings of energy reaching out across galaxies. They weren't here to conquer. They were here to learn. To speak. To share. Then something changed. The images darkened. She saw another gate, damaged, broken, energy spilling out. Shadows moving inside. "What is that?" she asked. The voice grew sad. "Another gate. Another world. A mind that broke. The bond. Can it hurt this one? If the bridge is not strong, yes." Darkness spreads where understanding fails. Rin gasped. The gate was not just a connection, it was a doorway. And if one gate had fallen into darkness, others could be at risk. She opened her eyes. Dane held her arm, keeping her steady. "We're not just building a bridge," she said. "We're keeping something dangerous out." Dane's face hardened. "Then let's finish it the right way." They placed the cube into the center slot at the base of the gate. The entire room shook. Lights flared. Symbols flew across the walls. The gate spun faster. Then silence. The gate stopped. A final line of light appeared across its surface. Then a voice spoke one last time. "Bridge complete. Understanding begins." And just like that, the gate turned clear. Inside its ring was not energy but a window to another place. A peaceful land of floating towers and golden skies. Shapes moved slowly across the distance. Gentle beings, made of light and thought. Rin stepped back. She was crying, but they were not sad tears. Dane stood beside her, quiet and still. "We did it," she whispered. He looked at her. "You did it." And behind them, the gate hummed softly. A door now open to a new kind of war. The gate's glowing window shimmered softly, showing a peaceful world beyond. Rin and Dane stood in the quiet chamber, watching the calm light ripple like water. The hum of the gate was gentle now, almost like a heartbeat slowing after a long journey. Rin took a deep breath, feeling the weight of everything they had done. Years of mystery, fear, And silence had led them here, to a bridge not only between places but between minds. "It's beautiful," Rin whispered. Dane nodded. "But what do we do now?" Rin looked back at the glowing ring. "We don't just watch, we learn. We build trust." For a moment, the room felt very small compared to the infinite world beyond the gate. But she also felt something inside, a spark of hope that was bigger than fear. The gate had opened the door. Now it was there. Choice what to do with it. Back at the base, Rin and Dane shared what they saw with their small team. The others were amazed but careful. The gate was a gift, but also a responsibility. "We can't rush," Dane said. "We need to understand their world, their language, their thoughts," Rin agreed. "And we need to prepare. This is only the first step." The cube they used to connect to the gate pulsed softly on the table. It seemed alive, waiting for its next message. Rin looked at it and smiled. "It's like a friend now." Days passed. They sent small signals through the gate images. Sounds, colors. Slowly, they learned. The beings on the other side were peaceful explorers, sharing knowledge about stars, nature, and energy. Rin's connection grew stronger. She no longer felt afraid. Instead, she felt a part of something larger, like she had found a missing piece of herself. One morning, as she sat by the gate, Dane came over with a small device. "We've made progress," he said. "They sent a message inviting us to visit." Rin's eyes widened. "Visit?" "Yes," Dane smiled. "They said the bridge is open. And we're welcome." For a moment, Rin hesitated. The idea of stepping through the gate was frightening, but also exciting. She looked at the glowing circle. "It's a chance to learn face to face." Dane nodded. "Together." The day arrived. The team prepared carefully. Rin wore the bracelet again. It would help protect her as the gate adjusted. The chamber filled with light. The gate's surface rippled like water, and then opened slowly, like a door. Stepping through felt like moving through a warm breeze. When Rin opened her eyes, she saw the new world. The sky was soft gold, and the air smelled fresh and sweet. Tall towers floated gently in the distance. Strange glowing plants swayed in a silent wind. Figures appeared, tall, slender, made of light. That shifted in colors. Their faces were kind, and their movements slow and graceful. One approached Rin and extended a hand, made of shimmering light. Rin smiled and took it. The being's voice came gently into her mind. "Welcome, Bridge-bearer. We have waited for you." Rin felt tears come to her eyes. "I'm honored." Dane stepped forward, speaking into the mind. "We come in peace and friendship." The beings nodded. A feeling of calm joy filled the air. Over the next days, Rin and Dane learned from the light beings. They shared stories, songs, and knowledge. Rin discovered things she never imagined. How energy flows between stars, how thoughts can travel on light, how kindness can be a force stronger than fear. The gate was more than a machine. It was a connection of hearts and minds. Rin thought of the cold bus stop where Dane first found her, and how far she had come. From freezing and lost to a messenger between worlds. She smiled quietly to herself. This was just the beginning. When it was time to return, the beings gave Rin a small glowing crystal. "For the bridge," they said. "So you will always carry a part of us." Rin held it tightly as she stepped back through the gate. The chamber on Earth was quiet once more. But Rin felt light in her heart. Dane smiled at her. "We did it." "Yes," she said. "We built a bridge between worlds." Outside, the city was waking up. The sun peeked over the horizon, casting warm light over the streets. Rin looked up, hopeful. For the first time in a long time, the future seemed bright. The gate pulsed softly beside them.